Alright guys, we're going to be doing some problems with exponents. Before we get into it, just a few exponent rules that are going to come in handy for us. And we're multiplying two terms with the same base but different exponents. Right? We can combine those into one term where the new exponent is the sum of the first two. Right? Second rule, whenever we're taking a term with an exponent and we're raising it to another exponent, right? Then the new term is going to have the product of those exponents as the new exponent up here. Right? And finally, whenever we have a negative exponent, this is the same as moving that whole term to the bottom of a fraction, right? Imagine we have this over 1 over here, just moving it over here. And then from this last one, actually, we can take another handy little trick that we might use a little later, right? If we see a negative exponent in the denominator, right, if it's down there to start with, we know that this is equal to x to the negative a, right? It's whatever is down here, we have to make it negative. Since it's negative to start with, this becomes positive, right? If it's negative exponent in the denominator, we just move it to the top and call it good, right? So let's get started with these problems. I don't know if you can see that. I'll write it out a little bigger. For y not equal to 0, y to the 8th over y squared is equivalent to, right? So using our rules up here, we're going to rewrite this. We have this in the denominator. We're going to move it up. We're going to say it's to the -2, right? And now we have two terms with the same base but different exponents. So we keep the base, and now we add these exponents together. 8 plus -2 is going to give us y to the 6th. There's your answer. Now, before we even started this problem, we could have probably taken out a and b, since they don't even have y's in the answers. All right, number 2. For all non-zero x, y, and z, which of the following is equivalent to, again, I'll write it out a little bigger for you, -24 x squared cubed z to the 5th over 3 xyz cubed. Right? So we're going to go step by step here. First, we're going to look at these coefficients, right? -24 divided by 3, that's just -8. Right? So we know the coefficient in our answer is going to be -8, which means we can go ahead and eliminate C and E, right? All right, now we look at our x's. We have an x squared on top and an x on the bottom, which is the same as an x to the -1, right? 2 plus -1, same as 2 minus 1, so this is going to be x to the first power, just x. Now we look at our y's. Y cubed is y to the -1, right? It's going to be y squared, 3 minus 1. And finally, we'll look at our z's. Z to the 5th times z to the -3rd. It's going to be 5 minus 3. It's going to give us z squared. So our final answer is going to be -8 x y squared z squared. Over here, it's going to be answer B. Right? Moving on to number 3. For all positive x, y, and z, we're going to be doing the same thing as the last one, but now we have some negative exponents thrown in. Right? Same thing, we're going to look at our coefficients first. We notice that we have a 3 to the negative 1 on the bottom, right? Which if we go back up to our rules up here, we know that this is going to be the same as a 3 to the first power, just a 3 up here. Right? So our coefficient is going to be, separate these, 2 times 3, it's going to be 6, right? So we can take those 3 out because we know D and E are only possibilities because those are the ones with a coefficient of 6, right? So now we go to our x's. Well, we only have the one x term, and it's this x to the negative 3. Right? So we didn't have to worry about that because that's just going to stay as is. Now we go to the y's. Right? We have a y to the 4th, and we have a y to the negative 2 in the denominator, which is going to give us a y squared. Right? 4 plus 2, this is going to give us y to the 6th. Then we have a z to the 5th and a z to the negative 3rd, again the denominator, so it's going to be to the 3rd. 5 plus 3 gives us 8. So our answer is going to be 6. We got our x to the negative 3, so that's going to be the denominator. We have a y to the 6th and a z to the 8th. There's that answer D for you. Alright, moving on. Same thing, only this time we have 2 terms in the numerator. We're going to want to combine into one term before we keep going, right? So we're going to say this is equal to 10 times negative 9 is going to give us negative 90. We have a squared times a squared, 2 plus 2. It's going to give us a to the 4th. Then we have a b squared, b cubed, 2 plus 3. It's going to give us b to the 5th. Right? Then the bottom stays the same. A little smaller. Alright. So now, same as before, working with our coefficients first. Negative 90 divided by 6. You know, that's just going to give us negative 15. Take out D and E. And now we look at our A's. Look at our A's over here. We have an a to the 4th times an a squared in the denominator, which is going to be a to the negative 2. 4 minus 2 is going to give us a squared. Then we have a b to the 5th times a b to the negative 4th, since that's the denominator. 5 minus 4 is going to give us just a b. So our answer is going to be negative 15 a squared b, which is b up here. Alright, moving on. For all x, 2 times negative 3x, that quantity squared is equivalent to. Alright, so this is just a basic PEMDAS problem. Alright, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. We have this parentheses, right, this term in the parentheses being raised to an exponent. So we have to take care of that first. Negative 3x quantity squared is going to be, right, we have to distribute this. Negative 3 squared is going to give us 9. X squared is going to give us just an x squared. Now we have to multiply this by 2. So this times 2 is going to give us 18x squared. That's D. Right. Number 6, for all positive values of S, T, and H, which of the following is equivalent to, and this little number right here. So let's go ahead and tidy this up a little bit. S squared, quantity cubed, right? We have an exponent being raised to another exponent, so this is going to be 2 times 3. It's going to give us 6. Right? This t, that's the only thing in this parentheses, so we wouldn't even really need those. It's going to become t cubed. So we have t squared times t to the third. It's going to give us t to the fifth. On the bottom, we're going to have h to the negative 2, just as it was before, but this negative 2 in the denominator, right, we can actually put it right up there. S to the sixth, t to the fifth, h squared. S to the sixth, t to the fifth, h squared. Answer B. And finally, number 7. Same thing as we were doing before. Right, just combining like terms. 2 times 3 gives us 6. So go ahead and take out j. Right? X to the fourth times x to the fifth is going to give us x to the 4 plus 5, which is x to the 9th. Right? Then we have the y to the first power and y to the 8th. It's going to give us 1 plus 8, y to the 9th. And that's h. All right, so there's some good exponent problems for you. Good luck going forward.